Hello everyone, Mr. Creepyashell here. Before we get started with this video, I just want to wish you a happy holiday season. Also, please like and share this video if you enjoy it. And if you love the content that I'm putting out, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure you cut on all notification bells so you will be notified whenever I release a new video. Because if you don't subscribe to my YouTube channel,
Grumpus is gonna come for you.
I would have never had thought that being on neighborhood watch would nearly get me killed. And not killed by a person, but killed by an unknown creature that I've never saw. But the way it looked, the way it made noises, the way it ran was just so petrifying that I can't even recover. It gives me nightmares every time I think about this and what I had to endure. My name is Eddie, and this happened to me when I was 18 years old, and it still remains something that's made a very negative impact on my life. This happened back in 2013. I was living in Texas with my mom, dad, and my older sister, who was 20 at the time. My sister was staying with our family during the summer as she had a break from college. Now, during that summer in 2013, something strange was going on, and it affected people who had pets in our neighborhood. A neighbor of ours 2 houses down from us had a cat that she found dead, but what was more disturbing was the cat's body was cut up in pieces. It was so disturbing that the woman ended up moving and she couldn't live in the neighborhood. And that wasn't the only case. Another case of another neighbor of ours that lived right next door to us on our right. His dog was found dead. But what was strange was his dog's body was cut up in pieces as well. It was very disturbing. It was so disturbing that before this all went down, our family was thinking about getting a dog, but we decided not to because this was going on in the neighborhood. At first, the officers thought that maybe this could have been the work of an animal. Maybe an animal like a coyote or some kind of wildlife could have came into the neighborhood and could have harmed these animals. But from what my father told me, he hasn't seen anything that indicates that wildlife live in these parts of the neighborhood that we stay at. In the middle of July of 2013, it gotten worse. Almost everyone in the neighborhood who had animals have found them dead. And it was getting to a point neighbors were very concerned. And the ones that still had their pets with them that were still alive, they would keep them in the house. It got to the point that the police officers were not doing anything. And that's when my father made a suggestion that someone or a couple of people should go on a little night watch and to watch and see when these attacks happen. The whole neighborhood knows that the attacks always happen at night, but we don't know what time at night. My father went around the neighborhood to talk to people about the neighborhood watch. Maybe someone from each neighborhood can watch every night until they find out what's been going on and who's been harming the animals. The first night, the first week, it went well. Nothing happened to the animals, as each neighbor from a different house would be on patrol watching to see if there's any strange activities. Nothing didn't happen for those weeks, and then my father suggested me that I would do the night watch for the next entire week as punishment. I done something, and obviously this was my punishment. I'm not gonna get into what I done. That's not really relevant to the story, but the point is though, for my punishment, I had to stay up through the night and watch and make sure there wasn't no weird or suspicious activity. And if there was, I let him know or call 911. The first 2 nights I was on patrol, nothing strange happened. Everything seemed to be normal. But it was that third day, and that's the day that everything changed. And I really wish I could go back. I really wish I never had to experience this. Even thinking about how this being looked sends shivers down my body. On the third night, as I was driving around my father's car he let me use, It was an older car. I was driving around the neighborhood, patrolling it, making sure nothing wasn't happening. As I was about to turn onto my neighborhood, that's when I heard a dog squealing out in pain. It was like he was fighting something. I drove where I thought I heard the sound at, and there it was. It was a dog, not just any dog. It was one of the neighbors, Mrs. Richardson's dog, and he was fighting against something. I looked closer, and I couldn't tell what it was. At first I thought maybe it was a large dog, but then, once the dog I heard, Mrs. Richardson's dog, went silent, I saw as he collapsed onto the ground, and the creature that I thought was a large dog done something that remained etched into my mind even to this day. The dog, or whatever it was, stood up on its hind legs, and as I looked at it more closer, I realized it wasn't an animal that I've seen before. It was something else. It was definitely not an animal, but it wasn't a human being either. It was some unknown creature. It looked like a large wolf, but it looked like a human being as well. On some parts of it, it had legs like a human being, but it was hairy. It had large muscles, and the way it stood was, like I said, a human being, but there was nothing human about it. Then the creature turned around, and his orange, piercing eyes were staring at me. And then he let out a really horrifying, sickening growl. And then he charged towards my car. I reversed in my car, and I drove, but the creature was coming after me rapidly. The creature was gaining on me, and it got a hold of my father's car, and then it broke the back window. I tried once again to put distance between me and this unknown creature as it kept on growling. Then it let out a howl. It was really terrifying. The thing kept on chasing me until I eventually got back to my house. And once I did, I turned around and I didn't see the creature anymore. I was trying to survive, so I didn't realize that there were quite a few people, neighbors, outside their house after hearing all the commotion, and they saw what I saw, including my parents. When I had pulled in, I never even noticed that my father was standing there, and he was in shock. I told him about what I saw, and the only thing he tried to tell me was he thought that maybe it could have been a wild bear. But I know for sure that what I encountered and what tried to kill me and what killed Mrs. Richardson's dog was definitely not a bear. It was some kind of different creature. I don't know what it was. Afterwards, I done this for a few more nights and I didn't see that creature again. And afterwards, once it was time for me to go off to college, I moved. I didn't want to stay in that household. It was horrifying for me. Every time I think about that night, I think about that horrifying creature who wanted to kill me. Luckily, I escaped it and nothing happened. But I came so close.